We're back. Welcome back. Episode 12 of the Weekly Gridiron. It's been a while. Christmas break is sadly over. And we're back at school. As always, we're your hosts, Adam,
Dante,
and
Luke.
It's good to be back, boys, huh?
Yeah, very.
Did y'all have a good Christmas?
I did, dude. Absolutely.
Did
All of us had a little bit of a painful break. All of our teams got eliminated over break, but it happened.
It's all good. It's all
True,
good.
true.
It happens.
Yeah. But anyway, we have a fun episode for you guys today. We're going to do something we normally don't do, and that's save the picks for this week for last, because we're in the playoff stage of the NFL season now, which is crazy. The 18 weeks are over, and we're on to the playoffs now. It seems like, just like every year, it just flew by.
Yeah.
Ever since week one, it's like all of a sudden, here we go, season's over. But we've got a nice month of football coming up for the playoffs. So
Absolutely.
We'll get into that a little later. We're going to involve all 32 teams first, and we are going to give our grades for the 2022 season for each team. Do you guys just want to go by division?
Yeah.
To start?
I'm down for that.
All right. So what division do we want to do first?
Just a random one, not one of our favorite teams' divisions.
Yeah, why not?
The NFC North or something.
NFC North. You want to start with that
Yeah.
one?
We'll do the entire NFC first.
Yeah,
We'll start
all
with the NFC.
Okay, NFC North. That is the Vikings, Lions, Packers, and Bears. So we'll start with the Vikings. Luke, what do you grade the Vikings for this year?
I'll give them an A-. I'm going to put them in A territory. That might be a little bit of a hot take, but they finally got over the hump. They won the division convincingly, but it's not an A+ or not even an A, because by the end of the year, everyone kind of knew how to beat them. And honestly, by the end of the year, they were the third best playing team in the division. The Packers were more on fire, the Lions were more on fire, and the Vikings were getting some tough losses.
Yeah.
So I can't give them an A+ or anything, but they did have a good year. They won the division convincingly. I'll give them an A-.
Yeah, I gave them a B+, mainly because, early on they were A-, maybe even A+ team. They were killing it. Kirk Cousins was having one of the best careers of his life. Justin Jefferson, we don't even have to go into what that guy does. Best receiver in football.
He did not break the yearly receiving record, though, unfortunately.
Hey, dude, I'd rather have a guy do that than break records, you know?
Yeah.
But, give me, I say give me the Vikings. I don't know. I feel like I'm making picks right now, but B+ for sure for the Vikings.
I'm going to side with Luke here. I'm going to give him an A-. I kind of thought about this. I was between A- and B+, but even though they kind of had a rougher end of the season, like everybody figured them out, like Luke said, this team still won 13 games. I think it's hard to not give a team that won 13 games at least an A-.
That's fair.
They won the division, like Luke said, pretty convincingly. It seemed like they wrapped it up with a few weeks left in the season. I think they were the first ones to clinch their division. So
And maybe that's part of the reason why they took their foot off the gas a little bit.
that's true, but
That's fair.
I'm
But
still
still,
going to
you
give
gotta-
them. I'm still going to give them an A-.
If I'm them, I got to play. You're playing for that number 1 seed too, you know.
Yeah, you gotta put more heart into it.
And the Eagles were 14-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're 13-4. I mean, if they just kept their foot on the gas, they could have got that number 1 seed and a bye week.
Or at least the number 2, because the Niners got number 2.
Exactly my point. The NFC is better than people are giving it credit for. You know.
Yeah, the NFC is good this year.
Yeah.
All right, let's bounce around a little bit. I'm going to go to a team that I think is a little easier. What do we give the Bears? I'm going to start. They get an F.
Yeah, F for sure.
I'm actually gonna give them a D-. I'll be a little nicer because,
Explain yourself.
to be honest, who expected them to be any better than this?
Not a lot of people.
Yeah.
I will say Justin Fields had a great season, I think, but
But they traded their second-round pick for Chase Claypool.
that too, and
shoot.
the rest of the team was just embarrassing. Pretty embarrassing.
Hey,
First year head coach, am I wrong?
That's true.
I mean, I guess, but you know.
I don't know. I'm kind of scraping at the wall here for ideas just to how to give them a D-, but I'll be a little bit generous. I'll give them a D-. I don't think I'm gonna have any Fs.
Did Mike Tomlin not win the Super Bowl in his first year? That's all I'm saying.
Tom Brady not?
Sometimes it
what I'm
depends
saying.
on what your team has too.
That's fair. That's fair.
How about we go to the Packers next? Green Bay. I'll go first. I'm gonna give them a B. Or B-. I'm sorry, B-. I was gonna say what's the one like right above a C+. B-, and that's only because of the end of the season they had, not the very last game where they choked it away and missed the playoffs, but they were like a 3-6 team, I think, and to even get back into the race for the playoffs was just crazy how they did it. This team, I mean, we all don't like the Packers, and we just couldn't get rid of them until the final week of the season. Aaron Rodgers just showed, like, okay, I'm still him. I'm still going to lead these guys to possibly a playoff spot. And we all thought they were going to get that playoff spot. If they had Devontae Adams, I think they would be a playoff team. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give them a B-. I think a C+ is a little harsh for them, but I understand if you guys give them that. But I'm going to say B- for the Packers.
Yeah, I gave them a C+. Comparatively to how the Packers have been in the past, this was a bad year for them.
That's true.
I mean,
That's true.
we could say I tried not to let their little streak at the end influence me, because prior to that they couldn't get anything going.
They lost like 7 in a row, right?
Exactly my point.
Or 1-7 through a stretch, something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I gave him a C+, and I feel like that's not being generous. I could have given him a C, but Rodgers did play well down the stretch. Christian Watson did play well down the stretch. So yeah, I'll give him a C+.
I am going to give them a C, actually, only because of the expectations. Even though I think people realized this year was the year the Vikings were probably going to jump them, it's kind of inexcusable because we saw at the end of the year how good they could have been. I think Aaron Rodgers really didn't care the first half of the year. I think he really just hasn't cared the past couple years. He knows that he has a grip over that team. They're going to give him the money he wants when he wants it, even though I think he's just about done there. I can't give them any worse than that because they did have a good stretch at the end. And like you said, Christian Watson really became a solid receiver by the end of the year. But maybe I'm just a little salty because Aaron Jones was very inconsistent for me in fantasy the first half of the year before I traded him. And then he started to turn it on after I traded him. But I don't really care. I'm going to give the Packers a C, which is the worst in this group. But I think that it was inexcusable how little they cared and how little heart they gave until they really needed to by the end.
All right, and for the final team, Detroit. Luke, what are you going to give the Lions?
I'm actually going to ask one of you guys to go first. I'm not sure about this.
Dante, you want to go?
I gave the Lions a B. For me, grading this whole thing, I'm not grading it to conform to like how the team's expectations. I'm just flat grading scale for all 32 teams.
That's fair.
So, yeah, I give the Lions a B, and that's, like, incredible for them because they have not been too great for the past, decade?
Yeah.
They haven't been that good. But, yeah, I was very impressed with the Lions this year. Nothing but pretty much positive to say about them. Dan Campbell, great head coaching job this year. They started off rough, but, man, they really picked it up. Aiden Hutchinson, definitely Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate, of course. But, yeah, Lions B.
I'm going to give them a B+. I think they had a very good season. I mean, 9-8, nearly made the playoffs. With that team, you wouldn't have expected it going into the season. And I think, the narrative of the same old Lions, as they used to say, I think is kind of out the window now. This team could look like a team that's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying this. They've got their guy in Jared Goff. This is not something I thought I would be saying at this point going into the year. But, yeah, this Lions team just completely exceeded my expectations this season. So good for them. Good for them. I'll give them a B+.
I'm actually going to give them an A-. It's not any better because I think they struggled a lot in the beginning of the year. And unlike the Packers, they realized that they were a better team. And they really came into their own. I have nothing but positive things to say about them. Dan Campbell, Jared Goff. What's the running back's name?
They got two, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams. He broke Barry Sanders' record for the most touchdowns in a season for a Lion.
That's insane.
It is crazy. They just kept feeding that guy the ball. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson. Penei Sewell. I have nothing but good things to say about them. But like Dante was saying, they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't finish with double-digit wins, which I think they could have. They had the potential to, but they had a really rough start to the year. So I'll be a little bit generous, I feel like, but due to the fact that I am kind of taking into account expectations, I'll give them an A-.
All right. So now we move on to, I guess we'll go to the NFC South. We'll go down the line here. Buccaneers. Let's start with, I call them Tampa Bay sometimes because they have Tom Brady. there.
And because he's their entire team.
Mostly.
Chris Godwin. Penn State legend.
He had a good year.
Dante, why don't you get started with the Buccaneers?
I gave the Bucks a C+.
Plus?
That might be a little harsh, but
I don't think it is.
but yeah, they didn't. I mean, they finished under 500, right?
8-9.
8-9.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If I'm gonna give the Lions a B, and I'm giving the Bucks a C+. I mean, talk about expectations. I know I'm saying I'm grading them on an even scale, but they just did not play well at all. I mean, if you get beat by the Steelers, come on. No offense, Adam, but yeah, that was just not a good year for the Bucks. Brady looked like this was probably his worst year of his career. I think that's fair for us to say.
I think it is fair, too.
Yeah, so C+ for the Bucks.
Wait, did you say no offense, meaning the Steelers or the Panthers?
Because the Panthers lost to the Steelers.
Oh, yeah. That's true. That's true. Hey, we give it our all.
You couldn't
You
say
did.
that to me, though.
You did. That's true. That's true.
What did you give the Buccaneers? C+?
C+.
I'm going to agree with you. I mean, they still won their division, and I think, I mean, with Tom Brady, they can be, I guess, a sneaky team for a round or so going into the playoffs. But during the season, this team just did not look like themselves. And I think a lot of that had to do with Tom Brady's whole saga with Giselle. But, I mean, to be fair, at a point with like half the season left, that got figured out. So Tom Brady had the whole second half of the season to kind of turn it on and get the Buccaneers back to what a lot of people were thinking they were going to be. But yeah, this team just wasn't doing it for me preseason, or this season, I mean. So yeah, C+ for them.
I'm going to actually go with C, which is crazy because I think they still have a legit shot at the Super Bowl. I think that they have a decent path to it. Some people are saying this could be Tom Brady's easiest path to the Super Bowl when you look at his opponents. But it certainly didn't seem that way during the season. I wasn't really keeping track of the schedule they had, but I'm going to give them a C. Like I think I already stated that. Another team that just seemed like they wanted to do the bare minimum. They won the division, sure, but with an 8-9 record. I believe it might have been Tom Brady's first ever losing season. You can fact check me. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're right. I honestly think you're right.
Like fully healthy, I think so.
I mean, you look at Belichick. I mean, right after Brady left, that was his first losing season.
Yeah, okay, so there you go. Yeah. Tom Brady's first ever losing season. Mike Evans did not bring it. That Week 18 game saved him, brought him to his 9th straight 1,000-yard season, but he did not bring it all year. Chris Godwin's was better, and he still wasn't amazing in my opinion. The rest of the offense, Leonard Fournette didn't impress me at all. The defense didn't impress me. They were giving up a lot of offense. At 8-9 as a division winner, it seemed like they really just wanted to do the bare minimum all year, and they barely skated by. I think thanks to Tom Brady, they're there, and I think thanks to Tom Brady, they have a legit shot in every single game they play. I'll never count that guy out. But in terms of the entire team, it was ugly for me this year. I'll give them a C.
All right, so let's move on to my squad, the Carolina Panthers, who I'm also going to give a C+. And you may think that's a little high, but I mean, I'll go into all the details here. We were 1-4 when we fired Matt Rule. Steve Wilkes came in. I had absolutely no expectations. A week later, we traded Christian McCaffrey. Like I said, I had no expectations, and I thought that honestly we were just going to tank out and lose the rest of the season. But this team ended up going 7-10. It took them until week 17 to be eliminated. We took out teams like the Lions and the Seahawks on our way. It was incredible, and this team just looked like a totally different environment, a totally different regime. Sam Darnold looked a lot like a different version of himself than what we saw in his first year in Carolina, and I will say, the Panthers really impressed me this year, and as a Panthers fan, I hope we keep Steve Wilkes around. If we don't, I understand. Hopefully we hire somebody good, but yeah, C+.
I gave the Panthers a C-. Mainly because it was, I think their record portrayed them as worse than they actually were. I think the Panthers are pretty solid on defense, definitely, in my opinion, underrated secondary when fully healthy. The problem was just their quarterback position, man. I mean, and Adam, remind me of your running back's name. I know he's
Dante Foreman,
yeah. Solid. He played pretty well all year, serviceable for that team. It just came down to the quarterback position and not having a suitable wide receiver 2. I mean, DJ Moore, I feel like there was a lot of pressure on his shoulders. But yeah, I'm giving the Panthers a C-. I think they have plenty of room to improve, and I think they will improve.
I've been kind of going back and forth on this one, but I'm just gonna leave it at a C.
That's fair.
They didn't have any expectations going into this year, and I don't think that they really broke new ground. It was probably a smart decision to trade Christian McCaffrey, and Steve Wilkes was a good interim. I'm not sure that he's going to be their best option going forward for head coach, but at least they didn't promote Ben McAdoo. Firing Matt Rule, correct choice. This team never really had that high of a ceiling, but I think that they reached just about as good as they could be, but that still wasn't super great. Yeah, they almost won their division, but we just talked about the Bucs, who did with an 8-9 record.
Yeah.
Like you said, nothing like super impressive from either sides of the ball. Brian Burns had a good year. J.C. Horns had a fantastic year, so I will say that. But I think DJ Moore definitely needs somebody to line up with him, and they just kind of skated by having solid enough players and an easy enough schedule to put together a decent year. And I do think they have a good future, but for this year, I'll just give them a C.
Okay. All right. New Orleans Saints. We can kind of speed through the next two here. Saints. Actually, one of you two go first. I got to think about this.
I also gave the Saints a C-. I feel like them and the Panthers were pretty close in expectations and performance for this year. I don't have much to say about the Saints. They weren't bad. They weren't good, obviously. But yeah, C- for the Saints.
I'm going to be a little harsh. I'm going to give them a D+.
Okay.
Frankly, it has a lot to do with the fact that they let Andy Dalton continue being the starter. I know that's not Andy Dalton's fault. He's just going out there and playing football, but he didn't play it very good. And the coaching was horrible. Literally, the only bright spot on the team was Chris Olave, and he did have an 1,000-yard season, if I'm not mistaken. But
wow, that kind of flew under the radar. I didn't even know that.
I think the both rookie wide receivers from Ohio State, he and help me out,
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson both had 1,000-yard seasons, if I'm not mistaken. But back to the Saints, that's the only thing I could possibly say positive about this team. They're back in cap space hell, like they are every single offseason. But they'll find a way to maneuver some pieces. The only thing looking up for them is the fact that they're either going to get Sean Payton back or get a first-round pick for him. And then we'll even see if they even do anything good with that. Michael Thomas has been nowhere to be found for like 2 or 3 years now. It's not a good situation there. I don't care that they didn't have any expectations, and I don't care that 7-10 isn't all that bad. D+ for them. It makes me upset that they kept rolling with Andy Dalton. They really could have had something. They could have won that division if they didn't.
Yeah, I'm giving them a D. Like Luke said, nothing really impressive this offseason or this season. I think in the offseason they honestly should rebuild. I would trade Michael Thomas. I would trade Kamara. I would trade Cam Jordan, his name. I would start over. And I feel bad for Chris Olave that he has to remain in that mess. But I mean, they're not going to trade a guy like that. And they need to get a real quarterback, I think. And in my opinion, Dennis Allen personally should be fired. I don't like him as a coach, and I don't think he's the right guy for that team. But I understand if they want to give him another year. But yeah, nothing impressive for the Saints this year, really, in my opinion, except for Olave. And I'll tell you why, because Carolina swept them on the season series, and it's something we never do. We're lucky if we even get a game on them. So, yeah. And I will say we beat them in Week 18 in a game where Sam Darnold was like 5 for 15 with 50 yards passing. So, yeah. Moving on to the Falcons. I'm not as impressed with them either. However, it's a little better than the Saints. They actually had a few more bright spots this year. Tyler Algier was a surprising bright spot. Actually, now that I think about it, that's really it. But Marcus Mariota was okay for some time. Young Hui Koo's very underrated kicker. I think they should give Arthur Smith another chance to that team, even though I don't like the Falcons. I'm giving them a D+. Not much better than the Saints, but I think they deserve a better grade. So, yeah.
I also gave the Falcons a D+. Mainly, also Cordell Patterson. What a year for him.
And I will say, Atlanta.
Love that guy.
I will say, A+ stadium. Atlanta Stadium is nice.
Yeah, it's like the Pirates, best stadium in the league, worst team in the league though.
True.
But yeah,
or you could make the same argument for the Red Sox, but
no, they're not as bad as the Pirates.
I would be careful saying that. Trevor Story is probably out for the year. It's gonna be ugly.
We just signed Rich Hill as our ace.
Yeah, he was our ace.
That's fair. But yeah, Falcons.
Whatever.
Whatever. Falcons D+. We both suck.
Okay, yeah.
Did you give your grade for the Falcons?
No, I didn't, but I'll just roll with a D+ too. They broke no new ground. Ritter is nothing special. Marcus Mariota didn't do anything worth noting. We all love Cordell Patterson, and I guess Tyler Algier, however you say his name, but I wasn't paying attention to him at all because I never had him on fantasy, so I couldn't tell you. And that's it. Nothing stood out to me at all.
All right, NFC East. Let's start with the Eagles. I think the Eagles get an A. That end of the season was a little rough with Jalen Hurts out. It kind of looks like they were a different team. But Jalen Hurts is back. They got a much-needed win to wrap out the season. I still think they could be a threat to go far in the playoffs. That team is, I in the NFL am a big fan of complete teams. And in my opinion, the Eagles are one of the more complete teams in football. And I think they could make a run just because of that. And think about it. This team was what? 11-0 at one point? 10-0? Something like that? 8-0? I forget how many games they won. I think it was 8-0. They were undefeated for a stretch of time, and they looked really impressive this year. There were times where I said they were the best team in the league, and Jalen Hurts was the MVP. Eagles get an A. Like Dante said, I don't know if he said this on air, but I'm not going to give any team an A+. The A is the best grade they'll get for now, but Eagles definitely should get an A.
Yeah, I think Eagles are an absolute A here, without a doubt. Probably the best team all year in football. Easily in the NFC. Best team in the NFC all year. Yeah, Eagles A for sure.
I'm gonna give them an A too. I thought about an A-, but I'm not gonna start overreacting. A+ is reserved for 16-1, 17-0 teams. That's not gonna happen for a while. They lost a couple games. Jalen Hurts went down, but I think that they knew that they had the 1 seed pretty much on lock, so they didn't really care about losing those games.
And also, Minshew was in for,
Yeah, and he actually played okay. It's just that the teams that they lost those late games to, I think like one of them was the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Good teams as well. So it's really fine. I can't give them an A+.
And they really competed with those tough teams with their backup.
They competed too. They did. They sure did. Good for Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni. We love Miles Sanders, Penn Stater. Good for all those people.
Man, A.J. Brown's turned into one of my favorite players in the league. Absolute monster.
It's crazy because I used to not like the Eagles a lot, but now they're turning into one of the more likable teams in football, I think.
Oh, I used to have very good reasons not to like the Eagles as a Patriots fan, but that roster is pretty much dispersed, and now they got a new one in, and they're already winning. It hasn't even been that long, and it's a new roster. They're back to winning. Fly, Eagles, fly. Good for them. I have nothing wrong with them.
All right, moving on to the Cowboys. I'm going to give them an A-. I thought they had a very good season. Not much really else for me to say. They are the 5 seed in the NFC. But this is a team that, unlike other seasons, the Cowboys would just lose in the first round. This year, I feel like it could be different. This offense is really, really scary to other teams. It would have been even crazier if they signed OBJ, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. But yeah, Cowboys, I think, get an A-. I have them kind of on the same tier. A-.
Okay.
I thought I said A-. They're on the same tier with the Vikings, in my opinion, so yeah.
Personally, I think the Vikings are a little bit better than the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But I'm still giving the Cowboys an A-. I agree with Adam. Am I not mistaken, or was Dak out for a couple games this year? Wasn't he hurt?
Yeah, he was. And
Who backed him up?
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush backed him.
Actually,
that's right. And Cooper Rush kind of.
And he went like 4-0.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, the Cowboys, they're pretty good overall. Their defense is stellar. If only they still had DeMonte Casey. Now he's with the Steelers. But guys like Van Der Esch really stepped up this year. Of course, Parsons played like Parsons did. Trayvon Diggs played like he did. Yeah, I think the Cowboys could make a run in the playoffs. And yeah, they're a pretty solid team. They were pretty much all year. I think they kind of lived in the Eagles' shadow though. If they were in a division by themselves, they would be looked at as a far better team, I believe. But yeah, Cowboys A-.
All right, so my thoughts on the Cowboys. I think they actually are a little bit better than the Vikings.
That's fair.
But I'm going to give them a B+.
Okay.
What record? What record did they finish with? I'm not even sure. 12-5. Yeah, I'm going to give them a B+. I don't think that's A territory. Dak led the league in interceptions. Tony Pollard had a good year, but Ezekiel Elliott, it just wasn't there for him all year.
Underrated guy, Tony Pollard.
Underrated.
I love
definitely.
Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
Beast.
CeeDee Lamb, but then behind him, who did they really have? Dalton Schultz, I guess. Micah Parsons, beast. Trevon Diggs, he definitely had good games. He definitely had moments. But I think overall, he's not quite as good as people make him out to be. Honestly, he might make a better wide receiver because all he does is get interceptions.
Regarding the receivers, I'm not even trying to be biased here, but why did they not play James Washington at all? Did they?
In fact, they cut him.
Yeah, they cut
Did
him.
they really?
Yep.
Dude, and he was pretty solid for the Steelers.
He was solid for the Steelers. I don't quite get that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he could have been a good wide receiver 2, an even better wide receiver 3 option. He would dominate those cornerback 3s in the league, I believe. But
I don't know. Maybe they know something we don't know. But in terms of the Cowboys, I'm going to give them a B+, like I said. I'm not going to go as far as saying they're pretenders, but I will go as far as saying they certainly have started to garner themselves the reputation of a regular season powerhouse.
yeah, they do have concerns for sure.
So, especially since Dak led the league in interceptions, and he lost more games than Cooper Rush, 0.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like a reality TV show with all the drama with the Jerry Jones 1950s racist thing, and it just got a little bit out of hand a couple
I
times.
forgot about that.
It's kind of hilarious, actually. But I'm going to give the Cowboys a B+.
All right, moving on to the Giants. I'm going to give them a B+. I can't believe how good of a season they had. With Brian Daboll, I think could be your coach of the year right now.
Most influential fat man in New York since Biggie.
I love that. That's so funny.
So good.
But it's shocking to me. I mean, they have Saquon, obviously, but a team that really had no good wide receivers won 9 games.
No wide receivers at all, actually.
Pretty much.
Didn't Kenny Galladay get his first touchdown in the
His
last
first
game?
touchdown, yeah, as a Giant, came in Week 18.
And dude, after he got that, he started hyping himself up.
I know.
I like Kenny Galladay. I thought he was
Sure.
a beast in Detroit. But come on, bro. That was your first. I mean, to be fair, Deontay Johnson didn't have a touchdown all year.
Did he really?
Didn't have any touchdowns.
That's insane.
Not one.
Wow.
George Pickens had 4 though. So.
Well, anyway, the Giants just completely exceeded my expectations this season.
Oh yeah.
And that is a team that if they get a legit receiver this offseason, they could be around. They could be around for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm giving them a B+.
I feel like I also agree B+. I also feel like the Giants were in the same vein as the Bengals of last year, even though they obviously aren't as good as the Bengals were last year. But that's the same feeling I got with them. Nobody expected the Bengals to be competing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, nobody expected the Bengals to be competing last year. Nobody expected the Giants to be competing this year. And I'm just curious what the team is going to be next year. It's going to be, I don't know, the Texans. It's going to be the Bears. The Cardinals, maybe the Falcons. Who knows? But yeah, this year was the Giants, and they competed and they made the playoffs. I mean, I feel like if they were in a worse division, they could have been up for even winning that division, But yeah, I'm very pleased with the Giants, and I'll be rooting for them heavily in the playoffs. B+.
Yeah, good for them as well. I've always you guys don't have to believe me, but I'm being honest. I've always kind of liked Daniel Jones. I've never really outwardly said it because, honestly, I did not think that he was going to survive past this year. But I thought that he was actually okay the past couple years. But this year, he took a leap, kind of. I mean, he wasn't stellar or anything.
But it was his best season of his career
yeah.
for sure.
And he's certainly good enough to be that guy for the next couple years at least. They finally learned how to use Saquon again. Uh-huh. We couldn't be happier because of that. And that's the thing, though. They had no wide receivers, which makes it all the more impressive.
I mean, dude, you have to look at their losses. I mean, they're losing to playoff. They're losing to playoff teams. They got beat by the Eagles, beat by the Vikings, beat by the Cowboys.
And they almost beat the Vikings the second time.
Yeah, they did.
Or maybe it was only...
And they blew out the Colts, which is they should have, but they
of course,
still
but
did.
A couple teams didn't blow out the Colts. All of Vikings.
Dude, lost to the Seahawks playoff. Well,
yeah.
Didn't they make the
playoff?
Yeah, they made the playoffs. But yeah, dude, their losses. I don't want to say there's anything what am I trying to say? I don't think
It's not a compliment to them.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say a good loss exists, but this is as close as you could get to good losses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
sorry, look, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. You're making good points. So with piggybacking off what he said and what I was saying, good for the Giants. I think they could have had a better year defensively, but that'll come. Good for Brian Dable. It was a great hire there, and the NFL just feels a little bit better when the NFC East isn't completely horrible.
They were one of the better divisions this year, man.
They were, surprisingly. At one point, they were all in the playoff picture. The Commanders didn't make it, but we all know Carson Wentz is to blame for that.
Hey, Sam Howell's playing nice, man. He played well. Sam Howell.
So should we just get into the Commanders? I'm giving the Giants a B+, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's just get into the Commanders.
Commanders, I had a C+. They had it was like down, then up, then down for them, in my opinion. Carson Wentz and this team, they just started off horrible, and then Heineke came in and was doing great, and then kind of fell off a little bit. Then they went back to Wentz, which I just questioned so much. And then the end of the season, Sam Howell had a great game, but I love Ron Rivera, but I don't know if he's the coach for this team anymore. They need somebody younger who has, I think, more patience to work with guys like that and can get them to where they want to be. They were close to the playoff picture, but it was, I don't know, that team was just a mess toward the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm giving the Commanders a B- actually. I mean, they went 8-1, and if they beat the Giants in that tie, they make the playoffs. You got to think about that.
That's true.
But yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm looking at the playoff picture right now. Yeah, like the Commanders just finished right behind the Lions, so they wouldn't have made it. But what I'm saying is, like, they really flew under the radar in a good division. I'm proud of that team. I'm proud of Jahan Dotson. I'm really proud of Terry McLaurin. This team is not as bad as people are making it out to be. And I think they do have a bright future. If Sam Howell is that guy, they could definitely go out and win games. But yeah, I'm giving the Commanders a B-.
I'll give them a B. I'll give them a B- as well. I'm sorry, Adam. I think it's time for Ron Rivera to go. I was on the fence about it, but after that Carson Wentz decision, get him out of there. Taylor Heineke isn't necessarily that guy, but he was definitely better than Wentz. And he's just a good story. He's a good guy. And I think Sam Howell can play well.
I'll change it to a B- as well for the Commanders. So, but keep going, Luke.
All right, well, they have a bright-ish future, I think. They have some good young players. I don't think they have superstars. But Brian Robinson is good. Terry McLaurin is great. I don't think he's a top 10. I don't think he really has top 10 potential. But he is great. And Sam Howell is another guy who isn't ever going to be amazing. But, like, I could see him being on the level of, like, Daniel Jones in a couple years. And maybe that's not going to come to play out at all. Maybe he's just going to be like another Trevor Siemian or something who gets 1 or 2 games and then is never heard from again. But I'll give the Commanders a B-. And might I say, that name has become normal to me. They were the football team, and that was almost normal to me to the point where I almost wanted them to keep that. It would have been a train wreck, though. Commanders is normal-ish to me. It doesn't mean that I really think it's a good name or it gives the team any identity. But I say it without questioning it now. And one last thing to add is they have a good mascot that they just unveiled Week 18. Major Tutty, the pig, I think it is.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I kind of like it, honestly. So
I'm looking that up right now, actually.
New head coach potentially, some young quarterbacks in the rotation, some players like I said, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Chase Young still, who hasn't reached his full potential. They're not going to be bad. Going forward, they're going to be decent at least the next couple of years.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, let's go to the NFC West. 49ers, I'm going to give an A. And it's interesting. This team kind of started off iffy, but really took off. And it's hard to believe they did it with the quarterback situations they had. Trey Lance got hurt early on. Jimmy G came in. Then Jimmy G got hurt. All of a sudden, it was down to Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, who made himself relevant and took them to the number 2 seed in the playoffs. And I know we're making our playoff picks for this weekend. I am not going to hide this from you guys. The 49ers are my Super Bowl pick. They're the team I think will hoist the Lombardi next month. But, yeah, they get an A from me for sure. And Christian McCaffrey, I hope you go get your well-deserved ring, buddy.
Yeah,
Congratulations to him.
I gave the 49ers an A. I'm probably on the complete other side of the spectrum from Adam. I think they're one of the more overrated teams in the NFL. I think they're going to probably lose in the divisional round. I don't know who they're going to play, but yeah, I don't know why. I am a 49er hater. I don't know why. But they don't just seem all that good to me. I mean, their offense is okay. I just don't know if Brock Purdy has what it takes to lead his team to a Super Bowl. That's just me, though. I don't think Jimmy G has what it takes either.
I don't think Trey Lance has what it takes either.
That goes without saying. But, yeah, 49ers, I'll give them an A, though. They did have a great regular season.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. If one of you guys doesn't mind while I'm talking, looking up who they lost to, I'm actually curious.
Got you.
I agree with what you're saying about Super Bowl potential in those quarterbacks, but I'm not going to let that take away from the regular season.
Yeah, that's absolutely
I'm
fair.
going to go back on my word a little bit, and I am going to give the 49ers an A+.
Okay.
Losing 2 quarterbacks down to their third string, a rookie comes in, throws multiple touchdowns in every single game, goes 6-0. They get everybody involved, especially after last year where Brandon Ayuk regressed. He gets back involved. George Kittle had a good year. They went out and they got their guy, Christian McCaffrey. I'm not sure that long-term that trade is going to work out super well for them, but he took off like a rocket once he got there. He was an integral piece of their offense immediately. That was a good trade, and that was a good place for him to go to. It was a really good fit. Kyle Shanahan, I think, is an offensive genius, and their defense is the best part of that team, arguably. Nick Bosa is probably going to take Defensive Player of the Year, even though for the first 10-ish weeks I held out hope that it could have been Matt Judon, but it was never going to be. Defense is just as strong, if not stronger, than their offense, like I was saying. Nick Bosa. I'm kind of with you, Dante. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not even sure they're going to get there. I think they might, just because the Cowboys and the Eagles are a little bit inexperienced in the playoffs, especially the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. But, man, regular season, if you know, who did they lose to, Dante?
They lost. This is actually kind of surprising. They lost to the Bears in week 1.
Oh, that's right.
They lost to the Broncos. They lost to the Falcons. And they lost to the Chiefs. So,
all right.
3 out of those 4 losses, they should have won.
So Chiefs, take it as you will. I will give them another write-off. I will remember that the Bears week 1 was like a monsoon.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to assume that Justin Fields ran all over them. I'll give them one excuse.
Let me see.
And
Justin
plus, that was
Fields
still
stats.
Trey Lance.
Yeah, Justin Fields had 11 carries for 28 yards, so nothing crazy.
All right. Well, I'm just assuming it was a low offensive game. I barely remember it.
Yeah.
Broncos, I don't remember that game. Like I said,
It was 11-10.
ugh.
Remember that game?
Oh, I do.
11-10.
Anyways, Chiefs, of course, and
But
Falcons.
They got blown out by the Chiefs. It was like 44-23. But
Yeah, well,
that's
the
expected.
Chiefs just ran up the score. I don't care. I'm not going to let that take away from my pick. I think once they found their niche, they were completely unstoppable. Good for Brock Purdy. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they are going to be the one team that does get an A+ from me.
That's fair.
Okay. Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to give them a B+. I'm just going to kind of, for time constraints, kind of run through my picks pretty quickly here. Seahawks B+. Before the season, everyone was like, it's Geno and Drew Lock. They're not going to be anything good. And Geno Smith just took them to the playoffs. I can't believe that still. This team was pretty great all year. They stayed consistent. I'm giving them a B+.
Yeah, I give the Seahawks a B. Geno Smith, absolute beast, pretty much all year. Yeah, Drew Lock is not that guy. Geno is for sure that guy, and they should give him an extension. So, yeah, Seahawks B.
I'm going to give them a B as well. This season certainly hurt my Pete Carroll was washed narrative. But good for Geno Smith. He ain't right back. Although I don't think they're any better than their record shows, and I don't think they're any better than the 7th seed, and I don't think they're going to win any playoff games. It just is what it is. They barely snuck in at the end. I'll give them a B. That's what I said, right? I'll give them a B, but good for them, but they're not great. I am just now noticing, like Adam was hinting at, it took us 40 minutes to get through the NFC. Are we even done with the NFC?
We got 2 teams left. I was going to ask you guys.
We can hurry it up a little bit.
Yeah. Rams, I gave a D+. I mean, the only reason they don't get a lower grade is because Baker at the end of the season was kind of exciting. But yeah, this team just... And I hate giving them that grade because they had so many injuries this year. And, I mean, before that, they were really struggling as a whole, but... The injuries just to put them back even further, but yeah, D+. I think it couldn't even be generous for LA this year. So yeah,
I actually gave the Rams a C-. I think just injuries. I think if they didn't have injuries, they probably still would be around that 9-8, 10-7 range. It probably would have been my guess. Yeah, C-. On the field they weren't that bad, but like on paper. Really not a good team, but yeah, C- for the Rams.
I'm going to give them a D. I just don't think they were very good. Baker miraculously saved them a game or two, and Sean McVay that was probably more credit to him. And the fact that they got any wins is probably more credit to him, but it just all kind of fell apart for them this season. The injuries, I get it, but they had some injuries last year, and Matthew Stafford had an injury that was bothering him all last year. They just couldn't capitalize on the opportunities they had this year. It was a complete letdown. You never see that happen. A team that won the Super Bowl and then what were they, 5-12? I understand the injuries and everything, but I can't get past the fact that this team won the Super Bowl and then was this bad.
Cardinals, F. I'm not even going to waste any time. This team was an embarrassment this year. Kyler Murray, man, I get he got hurt, but he's been a head case the whole year for his coaches. I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan. They're looking to trade D-Hop. I mean, they should. They should really look to, rebuild a little bit. But yeah, this team was just nothing to be excited about this year. I don't think any part of the team, except for I guess J.J. Watt had a pretty good season, and now he's retired. And I wish him the best in retirement. But yeah, F. There was nothing really that special about this team this year.
Yeah, I gave the Cardinals a D-. Really not that good of a team at all. Just very boring, I believe.
It shocks me. They were basically the same team that won 11 games last year.
Yeah. On paper. That's what I'm saying.
How?
There's a big difference between on paper and on the field. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's mainly because of Kyler Murray, I don't know. Cardinals not a great team this year.
They gave them that extension. That was a mistake.
Also, losing Chandler Jones was huge.
Oh, that's true.
That was very big. And then, obviously, J.J. Watt not being himself. Well, J.J. Watt hasn't been himself for 6 years. But either way, yeah, Cardinals D-.
I'm going to give the Cardinals a D- as well. Man, you guys don't like Kyler Murray.
I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan either.
Anybody who knows me, this is like... You have to really know me, but they would know because of Larry Fitzgerald, the Cardinals are like kind of my on and off second favorite team. Although this year I didn't have anything good to say about them. I don't think Kyler Murray's terrible, and I don't think he's quite the head case that people make him out to be. Sure, there was that Call of Duty thing, but I think people just kind of pick it up and ran with it. That might have been blown a little bit out of proportion. Cliff Kingsbury hasn't been good. With that being said, please come to the Patriots and be our offensive coordinator and bring DeAndre Hopkins with you. But DeAndre Hopkins suspended 4 games, and that was during a time where Kyler Murray was healthy, and then Kyler Murray couldn't stay healthy while DeAndre Hopkins was on the field. And like Adam was saying, J.J. Watt was good, but like Dante was saying, J.J. Watt wasn't perfect, and he certainly wasn't dominant or anything aside from the last home game, I think, or Week 17. Either one of the two, I think he had a really good game. Although this team, I don't know, I think it's more shocking that they ended up winning 11 games last year than it is that they won 4 games this year. This is more who they were, and they're super, super far away from being anything for real. I think it has less to do with one person and more to do with just the team sucks. So I'm going to give them a D- like Dante did. And now on to the AFC. What division do you guys want to start with?
I was going to say, we're already, 44 minutes in. Do we want to do the AFC?
You want to save it for next episode?
Or do we want to save it for next episode? My thought was we could save it for next episode, but that's going to be a week through the playoffs already. Or are grades really going to change based on the playoffs?
I don't think so.
What do you say?
And also, that would extend the episode. That would give us more stuff to talk about next week besides just predicting.
Or question. I mean,
and why rush through it right now?
You're right. I mean, do we want to try to get 3 episodes in 2 weeks? I know we're kind of talking on air about this right now. We could always do Thursday, Monday, Thursday, or something.
We could see.
I'm stretching that a lot, but I think a consensus is we'll probably save the AFC for now.
Yeah, especially because I don't have my grades written down and I need some time to think about it. So yeah, something I will do before we predict the playoff games is I have the fantasy leaders for the year. I'll run through real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, is it okay if we save the AFC?
Bro,
yeah, totally fine.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll do that then. But yeah, let's run through this. So for the fantasy leaders for the year, I have it by quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, special teams, and kickers. Top 5 and honorable mention for each. So what position do you guys want to hear first?
Go quarterback.
Leaders. Quarterback first? All right. The honorable mention with 295.98 points was Justin Fields. Number 5 with 303.88 points was Geno Smith. Number 4, 350.7 was Joe Burrow. Number 3, 378.04 Jalen Hurts. Number 2, 395.92 for Josh Allen. And number 1, 417.4 for the best quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And if anyone was wondering, these are all based on PPR, which is the main fantasy scoring. So, Luke, pick the next position.
Let's go running back.
Running back, all right. Honorable mention, 281.4, Nick Chubb. Number 5, 284 on the dot for Saquon Barkley. Number 4, 302.76 for Derrick Henry. Number 3, 328.3 for Josh Jacobs. Number 2, 356.36 for Christian McCaffrey. And number 1, 372.7 for the running back 1 of the year in fantasy, Austin Eckler.
Really?
Yep.
Flew under the radar.
I know, really did. I'll just keep going down the list. Wide receiver, honorable mention, 299.6 for A.J. Brown. Number 5, 301.6 for C.D. Lamb. Number 4, 316.6 for Stephon Diggs. And the top 3 are kind of expected here. 335.5 for Devontae Adams at number 3. Number 2, 347.2 for Tyreek Hill. And number 1, 368.66 for Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Tight end, honorable mention with 152, Tyler Higbee. Number 5, 176.9 for Evan Ingram. Number 5, shocking, I know. Number 4, 190.5 for Mark Andrews. Number 3, 200.5 for George Kittle. Number 2, 215.4. I was shocked by this. T.J. Hawkinson was number 2. And then number 1, 316.3, had the lead between the gap between first and second was over 100 points.
Is it Kelsey?
Kelsey easily took it. But that's crazy that the gap was 215 to 316 between second and first. Then on to the defense and special teams. Luke, you're going to like this. Honorable mention, 129 points on the year for the Baltimore Ravens defense/special teams. At number 5, we had 138 for the Buffalo Bills. Number 4, 153 for the Dallas Cowboys. Number 3, 156 for the 49ers. And number 2, 158 for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh.
And winning by a wide margin, 173 for the best defense/special teams in fantasy, the New England Patriots.
Here's a little fun fact for you. I think this might have barely became untrue thanks to Week 18. But up until Week 18 at least, our defense scored more touchdowns. No, not more touchdowns. Our defense scored more points than our offense.
Wow.
As if that was even possible. It happened.
That's something an OC will hopefully fix for you guys, Luke.
Anybody with a brain will hopefully fix that.
Put me up there, bro.
Put Luke out there. He'll know what to do. And then on to the kickers, because kickers are people too. I couldn't find punters on the website. I was kind of mad about that. They didn't have punters listed.
Huh.
Whatever. But for our kickers, honorable mention, 142 points for Panthers legend Graham Gano.
Nice.
And number 5, I liked this one, 144 for Panthers kicker Eddie Pinheiro. Good for Eddie. Number 4, 147 for Younghoe Koo.
Possible.
Number 3,
I'm going Boswell.
I'll end any speculation. He's not in the list.
No!
I'm sorry.
No.
Nick Folk's not on there either.
Let me guess. Number 2 kicker, Daniel Carlson.
We'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
Number 3 at 156.
Oh, I thought you were on number 2.
It's a little bit of a surprise.
Harrison Bucker.
Seattle's Jason Myers.
Oh, wow.
Harrison Butker's not on here either. Number 2, 158 for Justin Tucker.
Wow.
And at number 1, by 1 point, we have a two-way tie between Daniel Carlson and Dallas's Brett Maher.
Wow.
Those
Tucker
are
wasn't
the best ones.
I thought Tucker was a lock for number 1.
Well, it was pretty close between the last 3. Like Myers had 156, Tucker 158, and then the other 2 at top at 159. So if any of those 3 had like a really good game another week in the season, they would have taken number 1 probably.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, let's wrap this out. On to our wild card. Super wild card weekend.
Yeah!
That's what they call it now. Because there's 2 extra games, and we get a game on Monday, which is cool.
Dub.
So,
Probably
I
the
will
closest
say,
game.
before we start, Dante, congratulations on winning the season record.
Hey, don't applaud for me. I have to give Luke so much credit. He had an incredible season, incredible comeback.
Shaking his hand
I got to
right
shake his hand. I was nervous. I was overthinking my picks. I should have lost.
Dante went into the week up 1, and he won by 1. It was very close throughout the season.
There were weeks where he was up by like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke, amazing comeback, amazing picks towards the end of the year.
I was in third. I had 160 to 93 to 1 because we all had a tie.
We all really didn't.
And
we all did pretty well.
I got to be honest. Come the last couple weeks, I was kind of picking despite you.
That's fair.
But I ended up
it
having
paid off.
I ended up
It
having
paid off.
good records the past couple weeks.
Yeah. So
Luke,
should have been doing that all year.
If only the damn Colts
Yes.
beat the Texans.
Wouldn't we have tied?
You would have tied.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we would have. No, I think I would have.
Oh, I guess you would have won.
You beat me by 1, so no, I would have won if the Colts would have won.
That's crazy.
I knew the Texans, man. I knew it.
Anyway, number 2, like I said, was Luke, 166, 87 and 1, and Dante, 167, 86 and 1.
Crazy.
Hey, we both had all 3 of us had great years.
We did. Actually, all those records are very good.
Yeah, right.
They're actually all very good.
But like some of those wins were like, oh, Chiefs versus Colts, you know, like shit like that.
But yeah, those are good. Actually, wait, no, the Colts beat the Chiefs this year.
Yeah, they did.
Did they really?
They did.
Yes.
Oh,
I thought about
what?
that. I was like, the Colts had 4 wins. It was
What?
It was the Chiefs. It was
Oh my God, they did.
the Chiefs, the
Wow.
Raiders.
Convincingly, I'm pretty sure.
No, it was by 3.
17.
Okay.
Who were their 4 wins? It was the Chiefs, the Raiders, and who were the other 2 teams?
Let me see.
They didn't beat Jacksonville.
They didn't beat Tennessee.
They didn't
Give
beat
me one
Did
Tennessee.
they beat Houston once?
Let me see.
No, they tied and then
That's
lost to
crazy.
Houston.
They beat
Kansas City.
They beat Kansas City. They beat the Broncos.
That's right.
They beat the Jags once,
Oh, they did.
34-17.
Oh, really?
And then they beat the Raiders.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that incredibly boring
And
Thursday
they
night
got
game.
blown out by the Cowboys 54-19.
Oh no, I know, and that game was close going into the final quarter, and then Dallas just took over. I remember that. Anyway, let's jump into the playoff predictions. We are here, Super Wildcard Weekend. Our first game is Saturday, I believe, at 4:30. We've got the number 7 in the NFC, Seattle Seahawks, and the number 2 San Francisco 49ers. I'm not going to waste any time with this pick. As they say with the hashtag, I am faithful to the Bay for the playoff run. Give me the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm taking the Niners here too. I mean, I'm rooting for the Seahawks. I want to see Geno Smith win a playoff game against
That'd be crazy.
his division rival. But yeah, I think the Niners, especially at home, they're a far better team than the Seahawks. But
Luke?
yeah,
Unfortunately, Gino, it is time to write back.
yeah.
So give me the Niners.
We're
Convince them.
all taking the Niners. Okay. Next game. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to bounce around.
Okay.
I'm going to save the controversial games.
That's fine.
for the
Please
end.
give me more time to think about like the Cowboys Bucks.
Sounds good. In fact, we'll save Cowboys and Bucks for last. How about that?
I think Vikings Giants might be harder.
Let's move on to some easier ones here. Ravens and Bengals is Sunday night at 8:20 or 8:15, I think. Another pick I'm not really going to waste any time with. This is the team I'm rooting for, the AFC. I don't know if you guys know, I'm a big Joe Burrow fan.
Yeah.
Ohio State legend Joe Burrow. I'm going to rock with the Bengals.
Joe Burrow.
That's what she said.
Yeah, Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals for sure. I mean, if Lamar was playing in this game, even then
No,
I'm taking
Bengals,
the Bengals.
Bengals.
Even then I'm taking the
And
Bengals.
similarly, with 2 out, can we all say Bills? Bills.
Bills.
Yeah.
Bills.
My question
Bills.
to you guys.
Even if Tua was in.
This is
Oh,
the most
yeah, Bills,
enthusiastic
Bills.
I've ever seen Luke talking about the Bills.
I'm going to let myself enjoy them beat the Dolphins.
Do you dislike the Dolphins more?
No.
Word.
Well, my question is, do you guys think Lamar's played his last snap as a Baltimore Raven?
I really hope so. I mean, dude,
He's
just
a
signed,
free agent this offseason.
they just signed Roquan Smith to
I know.
$100 million deal.
They can tag Lamar, but you know he's not going to want to play under that.
You heard it here first. Franchise tag and trade. Lamar.
I could see that too.
Yeah.
In fact, Luke, I know you're not going to like this. My early bet for the team to land Lamar is the New York Jets.
Mine's the Dolphins.
Dolphins, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think. I don't know actually, because Tua hasn't been too bad. Or the Raiders. I could see Lamar going
Yeah.
to the Raiders.
I've heard Saints too.
Saints, yeah.
I've heard
Carolina.
Kansas, Yeah.
Carolina, I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
I won't mind
Anyway,
that for you guys.
let's move on to the better of the games this weekend. Let's start with the one Saturday night, in which I did hear with Tony Dungy, Al Michaels will be back on the call on NBC.
Nice.
We've got the Chargers and the Jaguars in Duval. Dante, why don't you start us off?
Give me T-Law and the Jags. I'm taking the Jags. Dude, I love watching this team. I'm so hyped for them.
Do you need a minute, Luke?
Give me the Jags.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'm only going to give you a second. Duval.
Let's go.
I'm riding with the Jags, man. They look like they could make a run.
That's the team.
I think they could make a run.
That's the team I'm rooting for in the AFC.
Luke, if you pick the Chargers, we understand.
Oh, absolutely, we understand. But
The Chargers are probably the better team. They've got the better quarterback, and they're getting all their defense back. I'm just riding with the home team and the team that's going to have the most motivation and firepower going into it. I will say last weekend when I watched this Jaguars-Titans game, I did not realize the Jaguars fan base was that passionate.
Yeah.
I did not.
well, it's like
Because they've flown under the radar for how long?
I hate to bring the Pirates up again, but you remember the 2013 Wildcard
Oh, the
game?
Pirates fans. When we were the Pirates fans, we were at one of those wildcard games. It was so loud. It was packed.
Yeah.
Pirates fans are like most passionate ever. They're just in hibernation.
Which is very reasonable.
I don't know if you went to one of these, Dante. Luke and I went to a Pirates-Yankees game this year.
I did not go,
And it
but
was-
I know it's sold out.
It was sold out.
We went to the
because-
first one that they won.
and there were
fucking
there were
awesome.
Yeah.
there were "Let's Go Bucks" chants throughout the whole arena.
it was
I felt
awesome.
like I was in 2015 again. It was
And then
crazy.
what happened the next game?
Oh, we got blown out.
16-0.
But that
Greg
one was
Brown,
not sold
this
out,
is
though.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We won
Jack,
when it
you're
counted.
You're stalling for me, and I appreciate
Jags and
it.
Chargers, Luke. What's the pick? We need to know.
Do it.
Let's look at this through a microscope a little bit.
Do it.
Justin Herbert better than Trevor Lawrence. Doug Peterson better than Brandon Staley.
Facts. Doug
Austin
Peterson.
Austin Eckler better than Travis Etienne. Keenan Allen better than Christian Kirk. I'm going with the Chargers.
Doug Peterson
Well,
has
hey,
won a Super Bowl.
Somebody needs to pick the Chargers.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
It's incredibly close. A lot of these games are so close, but
I mean, dude, to be fair, is there really a big difference between these teams? Jags 9-8, Chargers 10-7. It's a difference of one win, you know? It's really not
I think Justin Herbert is. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's substantially better.
yeah. I'd much rather have Justin Herbert on my team than T-Law, but not to say Lawrence isn't.
And
Good
I think
quarterback.
I'm going to be honest. They kind of just barely snuck by the Texans last week. Am I wrong? Or I might be wrong, actually.
I don't know.
I don't even remember that
I
game
didn't even
already.
really pay attention to that game.
Emotions are riding high for the Jaguars, and that might be a little bit blinding.
Yeah.
On the opposite side of the spectrum, nobody's really talking about the Chargers at all. And that might be a little bit of a help towards them because they get to come in and surprise them. Or I really don't know. This game could go either way. But I'm going to be the one that picks the Chargers.
Okay. All right, 1 second, boys.
Are there no more easy games? I mean, man, this
No,
is hard.
no more. I guess we're saving Cowboys and Bucks for last.
Whatever at this point.
What do you guys want to go with first? Cowboys, Bucks, or Giants, Vikings?
We'll go Giants, Vikings. Why not?
All right. You guys go first because I'm having trouble thinking of this one.
Oh, you.
I'm rooting for the Giants heavy. I really am. This is actually really hard. I'm going to go with the Vikings, though. I feel like the Vikings, I mean, they're just going to find a way to win. They're not in prime time, so that pressure isn't there. And they're at home. I don't know. They could be downplaying the Giants a little bit, but it's the playoffs. I don't see them really doing that. I think the Vikings barely squeak by the Giants in this game. So, yeah, I'm going Vikings.
All right. I'm trying to look for the week that the last Vikings and Giants played. I know the Giants lost by a game-winning field goal, and I also remember being the only one to pick the Giants. So I'm okay if that happens again. I'm going to pick the Giants. It's a risky pick. They're much less of a powerhouse, but I also think they have less disaster potential. The Vikings have not done themselves any favors by just getting destroyed like multiple times the past couple weeks. And I think that's coming from a place of, we have the division locked up. We have the playoffs locked up. We don't mind if we lose a couple games and get an easier opponent. But at the same time, that's got to kind of kill your morale, losing a couple games.
Yeah.
And the Giants have more to prove. And I think everybody's kind of counting them out. But these teams are on a very even playing field. And like I said, the Giants almost beat them last game. It came down to a game-winning field goal. And I think it was in a tied game. It wasn't even like the Vikings were winning at the end. So, yeah, why not? It's just more fun to me. Give me the Giants. I'd like to see them succeed.
So there's one problem. We know Kirk is only good in one slot time,
Oh, this
right?
is true.
1 o'clock. This game is at 4:30. For that reason, I'm rocking with the G-Men. Give me the Giants.
Nice. I really hope
thought
you're
about
right.
this all week, and that's who I was thinking of picking. That just made it official.
I really hope you're right.
All right, on to the last game. Cowboys and Bucks. I think I know who I'm going to pick. Are you guys skeptical, or should I go first?
Skeptical.
Luke's skeptical. Dante, I remember you saying you knew who you were going to pick.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Why don't you start?
I'm going with the Cowboys pretty easily. I think they're gonna take care of the Bucks here. I'm fairly confident in that. I don't know. I feel like the Cowboys have played harder competition than the Bucks have, and they have a better record than the Bucks this year. Would you guys say that's fair to say?
Correct.
The Cowboys have played better competition, and they performed better with their backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, even though he did play absolutely lights out in those 4 games that he started. But yeah, I'm going the Cowboys here.
I will say that I know who I'm picking now.
Okay.
I know
Adam.
who I'm picking too.
Adam, you go
ahead.
first.
I can't believe I'm riding with my division on this, but I'm riding with the GOAT.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm taking Brady and the Bucks. It's going to be really, really close.
That's
but
also another factor, man.
I,
Brady
in
in the
my
playoffs.
life, have bet against Tom Brady way too much, and it has let me down so many times. I can't take the risk again.
This is really hard.
I can't take the risk again. I'm taking the Bucks.
Luke? I already know what Luke's doing.
And with that, I thought I was going to be the only one. And I think this is going to kind of make us look stupid on paper. What? The majority of you picked the Buccaneers? How could you even do that? That's so stupid. And Dante, you could absolutely be right. But
So can you guys. I mean, this is very close.
If the Cowboys didn't get, pardon my French, if they didn't get their asses handed to them by the Commanders last week, I would have picked the Cowboys. But it's just, and they didn't stop trying that game. They were playing for the. Maybe they weren't playing for the 1 seed. They were playing for the. They were playing for the 1 seed, and they let the Commanders walk all over them.
Hey, shout out the Commanders. You know, that's like my second team.
Yeah,
Sam Howell.
this guy.
Sam Howell. Joe Burrow.
I'm not gonna bet against Tom Brady when I'm unsure. The
Yeah.
Cowboys are a better team. They have better weapons. They have a better defense. They have a better coach, but they don't have Tom Brady.
That's honestly a great point. When in doubt, pick Tom Brady.
I will say this.
But I'm not in doubt.
I think only one of 2 scenarios is going to happen for this game. That is the Bucks win close. Actually, 3 scenarios. Bucks win close, Cowboys win close, or Cowboys blow them out. I don't think the Bucks are going to blow them out if they win.
Yeah, very fair.
That's just plain and simple. It's like an Ohio State Georgia kind of prediction. You know, if Ohio State was going to beat Georgia, it was going to be close, but Georgia could blow them out. You know, it's that kind of prediction. And yes, I'm still salty about that game, but okay.
We are Penn State.
Hey, good for them too. I'm happy for Penn State as a Penn State student. You know, I'm happy for Penn
Won
State
the Rose
as a
Bowl.
student.
Hey, beat Utah. Who saw that coming? I did not.
I might have not either, but but then again, before we go, how about that national championship? Oh, that was boring.
Oh, what a game! Game of the year.
Stetson Bennett flexing after throwing to 5-star recruits and
Beating 19
beating people 7 years younger than him.
Yeah, I mean back-to-back champion, dude. I'm not a Stetson Bennett.
Here's
fan
a
myself.
stat for you. If Stetson Bennett gets drafted, if he gets a rookie contract, he will be 30 by the time his rookie contract is up.
That's insane. I don't think he's getting drafted.
I
That's
think he'll get a 7th-round pick.
Yeah.
See,
I think he will.
I was watching the game and I was like, okay, it's like whatever, 14-7, TCU's finally in this. I go in my bed for a little bit. I'm just showing my phone. Next moment I look up, it's like 38-7. I'm like, my God.
Yeah.
And they just didn't stop.
No, they didn't.
Dude,
At one point, I was like, just stop. Like, don't kill TCU any further.
Stop. They're already dead.
Literally. And it was 65-7 was the final. That was, I think... No, it wasn't the largest deficit ever, but they said it was like
I'm
the
sure it was.
largest deficit in a bowl game, I think, or a championship type of bowl game ever.
Is that a bowl game? I don't. Is that even? I don't even know. Do they count that as a bowl game?
Season type of game?
Okay,
I will say.
yeah.
I think like a bowl game or a championship game, like in both types, like the largest deficit ever.
That's fair.
But anyway,
Anyway,
I guess
wrap it
that'll
up.
do it for us on episode 12. I'm excited for the playoffs.
Oh, dude,
I
me too.
am.
It's my favorite time of year.
It's unfortunate our 3 teams didn't make it, but I can confidently say I think we are all on the rise.
I could definitely see all 3 making it next year. Who knows?
Pittsburgh just needs to make some more additions, for their secondary.
I think
maybe
we're
another
gonna
receiver.
be good. I think we're gonna be good.
I think you're going to be good.
Yeah.
I could talk for an hour, by the way, about the ways the Patriots can improve. And I think we have a really, really good map set out for us.
You guys just need to start by getting an OC. Carolina, kind of like the Steelers, I think needs maybe another corner and another receiver.
And dude, we can also build on our
and a head coach. We need that.
Both of us could build on our O line. You know, we could both be better on the offensive line. But
Panthers O-line kind of impressed me this year.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was a lot better.
it's just really
Kind of
young.
flew under the radar.
It's just really young.
Yeah, very, very young. A guy I hope they bring back is Bradley Bozeman. I don't know if you remember him when he was on the Ravens.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good year in his first year with the Panthers. I hope you bring him back for another year. I think he deserves it.
Yeah. Anyway.
And get JC some help.
Yeah. True.
Anyway, all right. We will see you guys next week. AFC predictions or AFC grades and more predictions coming.
Divisional predictions.
Yeah, divisional predictions, man. It's coming down to the wire for the season. All right. Catch y'all next week. Adam,
Dante.
and
Luke.
we'll see y'all next week. Thank you.